Hey, Rob Travels with Dottie here, and I wanted to do a little bit longer form video on aging and full-time RVing. I did a short that had quite a few responses to it. And, I'm turning 65 this coming year in just a few months. And I've been full-time RVing as a nomad since I was 61. Okay, so it's been a little while. And I've noticed some changes in my body since I turned 60. Have you? Of course you have. I'm going to go over some of those, some that are obvious, some that are lesser known, and the effects I think these things have on my nomad RV life. The first one is eyesight. And you, things happen with your eyesight. To me, it started happening in my 40s, and I think I bought my first pair of cheaters, they call them, but just in the drugstore buying these magnifiers so I can read things, because I'd get like something like this, right, with the product, and I look at that and I said, "Thank you for choosing SpyGen." That's that here, and then the pertinent information on here. I can hold it close, I can hold it far away, and without these, I don't know what it says. But as soon as I put these on, everything pops. I know exactly what they're saying. And this is in the grocery store, this is everywhere. They don't print things for older folks. So, how does that affect RV life? Well, one of the things that has not happened to me yet that I've particularly noticed, but I have many friends that notice a reduced eyesight at night, where the eyes don't do as good a job as taking in light under low light conditions, and it can make traveling at night a real problem. So if you have trouble seeing, it could be dangerous driving. So that's a thing with eyesight. The other thing that I talked about in the short that I did on this is this thing I call dropsy. I pick something up and it just drops out of my hand. What the hell? This has never happened before. And in the short, someone was worried I was having strokes or something. No, it's arthritis. I have a little bit of arthritis, especially more pronounced in my right hand, and it's really common to lose grip strength. And this, what I think of in RV life, is the little repairs and fixing things that I'm doing. Like in particular, when I'm holding really small screws and I drop them and I go, okay, where the hell did that go? Especially if you're like in quartzsite and you're putting in a screw in something outside and you drop it in the desert. Let me tell you, friend, you're never going to find that screw. So one of the compensations I do is I lay out like a blanket under what I'm doing if I'm going to drop stuff. I mean, you can lose a screwdriver just dropping it in the desert. Trust me. So I lay out a blanket. Even if I'm doing something inside, I lay out a blanket or something similar, and I do my work above that so I can spot things that I drop, because you're going to drop stuff if you have any arthritis in your hand like I do. Um, the other thing is going to be that your over time, your short-term memory is gonna get less and less accurate, and it happens so slowly for most people it's barely noticeable. um, and you combine that, right, with a little eyesight problem, and you have a recipe for what just happened to me yesterday. The In Quartzsite, the long-term visitor areas, the Bureau of Land Management announced a huge increase in rates. I could stay there up until this proposal, $180 for the whole season. They were going to raise that to $600. That's a huge increase, $180 to $600. So it's going to be all over YouTube. So I thought I would do my version of it, and my idea was to, like, let's calm down, it isn't all bad. And I read and I misread something or misremembered it or both, and had it in my mind that this was the fact. The fact was, if you stay the whole season from September 15th through April 15th, the pass for that is going from 180 to 600. The only other pass you could get now is $40 for 2 weeks. And I thought I understood and read that for there's no longer going to sell the $40 pass. They're going to sell $100 pass for 30 days. That was wrong. It was $200. I read and understood, or I read 200 and remembered 100. I don't know. I was pretty certain it was $100. Well, how much difference does that make? Well, here's huge. I did this video and I said, look, it's $600 for the season, but it's only $100 a month. I only stay 4 months. I don't stay the whole time. I stay in November, December, January, February. So I'm good. I'll pay him $400. That's only an increase of what, $220. I can live with that just fine. Only I can't live with that because the 4 months would not cost me $400. It would cost me $800 because I was wrong. Yet I published that wrong video, and the only reason that I found out it was wrong is because I was looking at the comments right away, and it got to about 40 viewers, and one of my regular subscribers said, Rob, I'm confused. Where are you coming up with $100 where the thing you put on the screen said 200? And I had my oh my gosh moment, and I took down that video and corrected it and put it back up and put disclaimers and apologies all over it. But that's a combination of, I think, visual, right? I was looking at reading things on my phone, right? And misremembering or misinterpreting something, a little glitch in the brain that has been all too common these past few years. And there's obvious ones that we all know. If you're over 40, I walked back, I was sitting outside for an hour, and I walked back into the trailer to get something, and I stop and I go, what was I going to get? I have no idea. And you end up going back outside, and then remembering an hour later you were going in to get something to drink. That happens frequently, and that's not very problematic. When the memory thing sometimes becomes problematic when even though you're in a small space, where I put something away and I need it again and I cannot remember where I put it, and I end up having to, in an RV, in this lifestyle, the way you pack things away efficiently is usually in bins and things that aren't particularly easy to get to. So I may end up pulling down 3 or 4 bins and going through them looking for where the heck I put this thing. There's some things that I've misplaced in my little 21-foot RV that I've never found. Never. I don't know what happened to them. Did I drop them on the ground outside and walk away? It's just a mystery. And you know what? When I was 30, 40, even 50 years old, I didn't have these problems. So it's not just RV, it's RV and over 60. And the other thing that I think I need to be careful of is, let's face it, during a lot of the year, I'm spending a lot of time alone. I'm pretty isolated here. There's not really anybody around that'll be checking on me other than the owner of the park, and I think it would take many days for her to go do or to call me to say, where have you been? I think maybe a couple days she'd check on me, but I'm in places where no one's going to check on me. So it requires you to be a little bit more vigilant about physical things that might seem minor on the surface, but could be the mark of something serious. And things like unexplained dizziness, Any episode where, other than falling asleep, you've lost consciousness for any amount of time. And um, when I talked about the dropsy thing and I didn't give the explanation for the arthritis, I did that on the short. Somebody said, well, Rob, that sounds like that could be serious. I need to get that checked out right away. And I agree, if I didn't have the obvious explanation that I know I have arthritis in this hand, and it's messed with my grip strength. But suddenly, if you have like one side of your body not able to do something, that could be the sign of a stroke. So the bottom line is, when you're in this lifestyle and you don't have someone observing you on a regular or a daily basis, you need to be vigilant, and you need to be willing to get someone to check you out if there's any doubt. Just because and you know what? There's online doctors you can do it. I use Dr. Says, Drsays. You can get an appointment pretty quickly with a doctor online, and you can explain what your symptoms are. You can maybe even show them some things on the camera, and they can give you a good idea of, like, hey, this is normal, you're okay, you should probably see somebody, but you don't need to do it right away. Or, I think you need to call an ambulance. You need to go to the ER right now. So that's important. Is you're over 62 in health, you could have serious things happen to you, and you could be in remote areas, and you could need, you could call an ambulance, and they can come out and decide you need to be airlifted. The closest facility that can help you with this stroke or potential heart attack is, 100 miles away. We're calling a helicopter. Well, I'll put in the description the link for I think it's $79 a year I pay for helicopter transport insurance. And that's so you don't get stuck with a bill for $10, $20, $30,000 when they decide you need to go by helicopter. This covers it. I'm not affiliated, no commission. No, it's not like that. I don't do that. This is just something that I got for my own peace of mind, because I realize that as every year I get older, the chances of me having some kind of catastrophic medical event increases. And the last thing that I'll talk about is overestimating your physical abilities. Right? We are slowly losing muscle mass. And I've noticed it. I used to have guns. Look, they're not there anymore. They went away over time. Probably 10 years ago, you might have been impressed with that flex, but not now. And I'm thinking in terms of, I never considered that driving my little trailer into a camping spot and getting out and setting up would be any type of physically exhausting or strenuous thing. And not only was I wrong, I've become more wrong as each year goes by. When you factor in temperature and altitude with that too, it can be a pretty big deal. If I go from 500 feet in altitude to 9,000 on a day where it's 95 degrees, it's rare up at 9,000 feet, but it can happen. And I try setting up and doing everything that I need to do, I could go to exhaustion and I could hurt myself. So I'm a little bit more realistic, where when I go someplace, if I know I'm going to be there for a while, I'll do day one, I'll do the minimal setup. I might even, because with my truck attached, it's pretty level. So I can not even disconnect the truck and not put the stabilizers down, and just put the slide out, hook up the electric, and I'm good. Then the next morning, maybe I put the stabilizers down and then hook the truck and start putting things out. But I've learned to pace myself. Another example is, I had one of the original electric e-bikes, folding bike, and I loved it. Only I noticed after the first couple of years, it became more and more strenuous for me to pick up this heavy bike and put it in the back of my truck, to the point where when I wasn't in a place for a long period of time, I became very hesitant to pull it out, knowing I'd have to put it back in, so I wasn't using it as much. Then that company came out with a light version that was about 10 pounds lighter, which made a big difference. So I've got a smaller e-bike now that it's much easier for me to pick it up. It's like just under 50 pounds instead of like 63 pounds. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. And certainly as a 50-year-old, picking up 65 pounds and tossing it around was nothing. Didn't even think about it. But in my 60s, it's different. So I'm sure there are many other things that come with age that you think would affect RV life. And I'd love to hear about your experience in those things in the comments, because I think this is an important topic, don't you? I'm grateful for you watching. See you tomorrow.